What's up, YouTube? Griever here, and I have finally gotten around to doing my review of this, the Nerf Slingfire. This is Nerf's first lever action Nerf blaster, and while it does have mixed reviews and some people are not thrilled with the performance on it, I know Bobo did one and he was not happy with it. Coop did one, and even though he didn't do a range test, he did do a chrono test with it. Now, while chrono tests can be, well, it is a good thing, they can be subjective because even if you are getting the power, you may still not get that range. Or at least, God only knows, I'm not a physicist or whatever, so if I'm talking out of my ass, just ignore that part. But I like this. There are pros and cons to it, so I'm going to go over the outside of the blaster first, then I'm going to show you the inside, and then I'll give you my final thoughts, and I'll even try doing the little John Wayne Terminator flip cock. Alright, so on the outside, this is actually aesthetically not bad. Ergonomically, it ain't great. I do like the rifle style holding, or the rifle style grip. That is comfortable for me. I have big hands, so I have no problem with that. The stock itself is very solid, and it does shoulder very well, especially for the lever action usage. It comes with a 6-round clip. Honestly, aesthetically, it looks good with the 6-round clip, and most Winchester or lever action rifles usually have around 6 to 8 shots in them anyway, so I mean, it's good. I don't have any of my 12 dart clips by me, but pretty much just think of it like this is pretty much what it would look like with a 12 dart clip, and I don't think it looks as good. Like, this would be something I would want as kind of like a sidearm with 6 shots ready to go on the end of it. It does have a sling mount here, here, and back here. This is not a sling mount. Does have one tack rail on the top here. The front part here is where I kind of get iffy on the ergonomics, because shouldering it, yes, you can shoulder it like this, but I don't know. To me, this feels almost more like it should be for like a front. It feels more front grippy. Like, this doesn't make me feel like I'm holding a rifle. If it had a longer barrel or barrel attachment, and you could put, like, let's say, the long strike barrel on it, then I would feel like it's more of an actual like a rifle. This, I don't know. This just, it doesn't feel right, but it's not uncomfortable. It just feels weird. The lever itself it's not metal like the Busby one, but it does have its drawbacks on that as well, in it being, yes, it's super thick in the handle itself, so the handle itself is sturdy, even though it is soft plastic. Unless you're squeezing it down like that, even when you squeeze it like this, there's not too much give to it. But this, where it connects into the actual gear system that is inside it, and yes, this does prime on gears, which you will see later on when I do the opening. This worries me a little bit in long-term use, because if you get jams or if it starts getting a little difficult to prime and you keep doing this, I have a feeling eventually you are going to break it. Now, I do have I'll show you how it works on firing. The way it works is, as with all spring blasters, you have to prime it completely. You take your clip, load it in, pull it back to close the breech, fire it, and boom, done. You're good to go. This is the other thing I am really not thrilled with, is the location of the actual clip release. Now, the clip release, it is ambidextrous, which is good. However, one of the few things I did actually like about the Strife and the Stampede, or not the Stampede, I'm sorry, the Rapid Fire, was that single button right near the magwell clip release, which in a way, is also ambidextrous, even though it's just one button. Unlike the long shot, which is for right-handed people only. That sucked, Nerf. But to take out the clip, it's a little more awkward because where if you just had the one clip, you could just do bam and pull. Whereas this, you have the clip and then you got to slide it out. It reminds me a lot like the Recon. Well, it's exactly like the Recon and the Alpha Trooper and the Retaliator and the AT. But the only thing is, though, at least those, they were close to the trigger, so you could just pull it, and if you're good enough, you can just slam it down really hard, and if you got a loose enough clip, it would just go flying out. This, you'd still, even if it's loose, you still have to move up here to release the clip itself, and that I'm not too happy with, but that's just me. So that's the overall aesthetics of the blaster. I'm going to do the internals now, and from there I'll go into my final thoughts. So that is next. Okay, so now we're going to look on the inside of the blaster. Now, a little bit of behind-the-scenes magic. I normally do open these and kind of go over stuff to see what is the internal, so I can kind of sound like I know what I'm talking about when I do these. I've already looked through this. It's not as fairly complicated as everyone had seen, but I will show you what's going on. To unscrew it, there is a fuck ton of screws. So many so that I actually had to do the pie plate or plated screw map here. One thing, actually two things of note. One, you'll notice here that there is no faux bandaging. The faux bandaging on the front by the barrel is actually completely removable, which is actually pretty good for when it comes to painting. Second thing is this. The stock actually slides off in one solid piece. You do have to remove the single screw that does actually hold it into the blaster itself. Outside of that, there are two more screws in the stock here and here. This thing, or at least mine, is plastic. It's sealed together. Even with all the screws removed, I couldn't open this to see what was actually inside the stock, but it actually sounds fairly solid, or at least fairly thick. So if you wanted to actually do a cut down of it and make a short grip, or kind of make this look like a mare's leg, you could probably just take either a hacksaw or a Dremel or a bandsaw or whatever, and just go right along here and probably not really damage anything, or even right along here. Because, you'll still have plenty of leftover space to do any patchwork on it. But anyway, that's something else. Let's get onto the inside of the blaster. Go. Come on. Okay. So here's on the inside. I would like to note on the opposite side, since all the screws are out, I don't mind flipping this over. This black piece here, which I'm not sure entirely of what it does consist of, but if you'll notice here, you can see spots of where you can find stuff to slide in and out of it. I think it's mainly it looks like it's actually just mainly the tack rail, and these two spots would be, and that black would be removable, but for what it looks like to actually remove it, it would probably do more damage than good to try and remove it to paint it, so I would just leave those in. But again, unless you're painting it, it's not really going to be mattering. Back onto the inside of the blaster. You have your basic setup. Yes, this does have a similar setup to the Retaliator or Alpha Trooper and whatnot in way of the slide and all, which, again, is completely understandable since this is a spring-powered, clip-fed blaster. You can only do so much difference with that. Trapdoors here, which does come out and does not affect in any way, shape, or form the performance of the blaster. You can even fire with the trapdoor open or closed. The slide here is connected to this system here, which is your ratcheting system, which is enclosed in this right here, which I did not open just yet because I haven't really gone through enough or had enough time to really go over what the mechanics of the ratcheting system are. But it's pretty much this from what I can tell, because there's also got to be the locks in here. Here. From here, what we have is the lever will activate pretty much that orange gear right there, which in turn pulls your slide back, which opens the breech, primes it, and then recloses it. Now, the trigger is very different from what I've seen before. It actually will kind of allow room for the plunger assembly to actually be right near it. The trigger itself has actually no spring whatsoever. Right. Yep, it has absolutely no spring whatsoever. What it does is it works on kind of friction a little bit, where it pushes the most complicated catch system I've seen yet. You pull the trigger, which pushes this bar, which in turn activates your catch. This is just a spring rest, very similar to the one that's in the long strikes, if you've ever gotten one of those open. You have your plunger assembly, your breech, your catch system, and a little bit of cool note is you actually also have this little piece which is actually for your clips, I guess, to keep them all from sliding in all. Now, this is the spot that I know Bobo was talking about where he's had darts jam right there. So you can see where, or at least why it does jam here, because the clip well ends right there. Clip well ends right there, and then you have that open spot. It's pretty much for the slide of the actual mechanism. Even though things are jamming there, I say just looking at it, it's actually there so things don't jam or get stuck. So go figure the irony in that. Other than that, this is pretty much the internals of the blaster. Is it moddable? Yes. How moddable it is going to be another question of debate. I am probably going to leave mine stock, or at least I'm going to remove some of the locks in here, which I will actually do off camera. Just because if I do ever revisit this, I'll do a proper mod guide on it. But other than that, I'm probably just going to remove the locks on this. Maybe the AR, I haven't even decided on that yet. And that's it. But also, I did notice that if your tack rail accessory, you don't have to worry about losing the springs in this one because they've redesigned it to where it's actually just one solid piece of plastic. So when you put it in, it actually just uses leverage to keep it going, which I have to say that's most probably one of the greatest things I've ever seen, because you have no idea how many times I've lost those stupid springs for these things. But I'm very happy about that. So this way, in case I just forget to put it in, I forget to put it in. But it's not, I have to omit it because I lost the dumbass spring. So that's it. I'm going to close this up, do my final thoughts, and I'm also going to show you the flip cocking action. So that's next. Okay. Yes, this is not the next part. This is not the flip cocking, so I apologize for that. But I did actually just, because I thought it was actually going to be something I had to unscrew, which is why I wasn't really screwing around with this piece. This is actually just coverage for the gear. Also, the ratcheting system for the slide. I was pulling out the clip lock because I hate these things with freaking passion. That's actually just simply slides out right from this spot here. But in doing so, it actually also allows me to show you what the gear system actually looks like. Hopefully, I'm going to try and do this a little slowly so it doesn't actually explode on me. But this is how the gear system works. Lever moves this set, which moves in turn this tiny little gear, which will move the bolt sled here. Okay, I can't do this without actually exploding it. That's what I think the black cover is for. But you will notice right there, that little orange piece right there. There is your trigger lock. So that is what you would need to remove your trigger lock, which would technically allow you to safely dry fire this to either deprime it or whatnot. But I'll probably pull it out, but I'm not going to do it on camera because if this thing explodes, I don't want you to see me spending like 40 minutes trying to put this together. But I was able to get the gears to show you, so that's what the gear system looks like. And looking at it, I am sure somebody will be able to come up with an inventive way of being able to actually come up with a better way of actually doing the ratcheting system and priming system for this thing. So there is that. All right, now I'm really going to show you my final thoughts and the flip cocking. Okay, I swear to God, this is the last third addendum I'm going to make. But to remove the locks, super simple because, again, I just overcomplicated shit. No, I did not just break that. To remove the clip lock, it's very simple. It's right here. You just pull that out. The trigger lock, you don't actually have to remove any of these gears to actually get to it, even though it's buried so much. Once you move, there's a little orange piece, that is right there. You pop that off. It actually releases the spring for the trigger lock itself. In doing so, it actually moves the trigger lock back far enough behind the trigger to where it pretty much slides out. And then with either your screwdriver or whatnot, you could actually just finagle this stupid thing right out. If you lift your bolt sled a little bit, boom, comes right out. Third thing is the bolt lock, which is that annoying thing. I'm also not a fan of the bolt lock. I usually remove those as well. In order to remove the bolt lock, you actually do have to disassemble your actual plunger, not your plunger, but your assembly here. That's a little bit more complicated because you actually have to unscrew it here, and then there's another silver screw there. I'm actually going to do this on camera to see how overtly complicated it is, because everything I thought complicated has been simple, and everything I thought was simple has been simple. So here we go. Separate it, bam, bam, done. And then you just got to reconnect it, which is very simple of just sliding it all back together and screwing it back together. So that is it. Now, obviously, with it out like this, you can obviously, I would suggest leaving this part off, or even if you want to keep the bolt lock, still take this out if you're going to attempt to remove the air restrictor, because the air restrictor is right there, and it's just like all of the ARs in the Elite series. It's actually also a very big one. Bear with me 1 second here. No, it's about this. No, it's standard size. Never mind. I was just thinking something else. Alright, so you just reassemble everything, and you are good to go. Get out of there, stupid spring. Reassembly, and that's it. So this was actually an impromptu mod guide, and now I'm giving you my final thoughts promise, if you see something else here, that's probably a bad joke, but yeah, that's it. This is going down to final thoughts, I swear. Okay, so that was the internals and an impromptu mod guide, so I hope you all found that very useful. I found a few things keen about that. Couple of things with that is, one, don't forget to put that cover back in on the gears, because if you don't, it's going to screw stuff up and you won't be able to use your blaster. The other thing is, make sure the gears and everything are lined up pitch perfect, because I have been running into a small problem since I have done this, where it doesn't happen when I'm dry firing it or just playing around with it, but if I load the darts and watch, it won't do this on camera because I keep deleting all those shots of it, so yeah, this is take 5 or 6, where if I have darts in here, for some reason or another, now you can chalk it up to me removing any of the locks or just not aligning the gears properly. I think it's more of the gears, but it could be the locks, so if you want, leave the locks in. Like I said, this is the way I do things. If it is the locks, then fine, I fucked it up, whatever, it's on me. But if you load it, the bolt, for some reason, it's like a microscope off. So it's like, I fire, I can prime it, yeah, see, now it's doing it. I'm firing, see, and there it goes. It kind of gets stuck, which is very odd because it has no locks. So I'm thinking it is the gears. But if you notice here, I pushed it up, a hair, and totally fine. Now, it does that when it fires a dart, but it doesn't do that when there are no darts. So I'm thinking it's got to be something with the darts themselves. Okay, so that's on me. So if you want, leave the locks in, whatever. But my overall review on it, that notwithstanding, is I do like this. Now, am I going to be using this in the Nerf war as a primary? Absolutely not. Would I ever use this in HVZ if I played it as a primary? Absolutely not. Would I use this as a sidearm in would I use this as a sidearm or a secondary? Yeah, I probably would, just because of the lulz factor. I mean, it's supposed to get elite ranges, so unless you get a really, really crappy lemon, you should be hitting at least 40 or 50 feet stock, all elite blasters, because this does have the direct plunger system and all that. Like I said, it does, to me, it looks ergonomically better with the 6-round clip. You could put a 35-round drum in it if you want to ratchet out 35 shots. I could do it if I wanted to, but since I kind of have that little weird jam thing now, unfortunately I can't do a speed test. I may load in one from one of my previous takes that I did it on before I did all this, or I may not. If you don't see it, just ignore that. Anyway, I'm going to do the flip cocking technique now. Now the flip cock, at least as far as I am aware, first appeared in John Wayne's version of True Grit. It was then replicated in Terminator 2 Judgment Day when the T-800, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, was on the motorcycle going after the T-1000. It had then been redone into Call of Duty, which I do not play, but I have seen people make tons of comments on it going, oh my god, that's in Call of Duty! And now I just lost 5 subscribers because I did that. But regardless of where it came from, it is freaking cool, man! Who cares who did it first, even though it was John Wayne? But anyway, most people have done it either with their pinky, which I find uncomfortable, their middle finger, or their ring finger. I do it with the ring finger, and I'm probably going to wind up screwing this up and making myself look like an ass on camera, but I do this for you, my viewers. So, the way you flip cock is, or at least the way I do it is, I put my ring finger here in the lever, my middle finger and my pinky on top of it, and trigger. So, get at least one prime in, fire, bring this down, flip with this hand around, and the force of momentum should bring it back to where you can actually fire it again. Now, if you do this, I'm going to tell you now, your accuracy is going to be crap. Alright? So don't expect this to be like, oh, I can do this and I can hit something immediately. No, unless you're really, really good, and besides, this is Nerf, accuracy is out the window to begin with. It's still cool to do, so I'm going to show you the coolness. Once you get a little speedy, it does get a little out of control, but and now I was doing this also before I removed the lock, so that definitely tells you you can do it with or without them. But that's my review of the Slingfire. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you don't make the same screw up that I did with getting that weird locking thing going. But that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you here next time. Later.